Max Mayfield, good to see you.
My pleasure.
Eric, thank you so much for joining us here today to be here in the house on behalf of all of us at Hurricane Warning at the Disaster Survival House, and I know FPL as well, and the whole team. We thank you so much for being here.
Well, I remember when it opened, back in the old State Farmhouse, and then they gave it to you all, and I really support anything we can do to be better prepared for hurricanes, and that certainly includes building better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Key messages here. Let's start first with what happened today with FPL.
Well, they partnered with the Disaster Survival House, and that's a really good match there because you're both trying to preach that preparedness message, and FPL has done a good job of that, in giving tips what to do before, during, and after storm, as you have too. So I think that's a really good partnership that has now formed.
With lots of messages they cover there, but one of them generators. There's key messages there.
And over this happens after every hurricane. When people lose the power, they crank up these gas-powered generators, and the carbon dioxide fumes will result in loss of life, and especially after the 2004 hurricane season in Florida. We had a lot of people who lost their lives like that. So they're advising people to get these carbon monoxide detectors, just like you have a power detector. If you do have a generator, you should have one of those too.
Mm-hmm. And if we were to take a step back and think about Wilma, would there be maybe some lessons learned or some things that were brought to the forefront besides generators as well?
There are always lessons to be learned from any landfalling hurricane, and certainly with Wilma, we had a lot of the windows that broke out, and this was, by the time we got over here to the southeast coast, we think a Category 2 hurricane, not even a major hurricane. That really should not have happened. As good as the building codes are in Florida, and I know Herb Sapper, who helped originate the San Francisco hurricane scale, was very animated about that, to say that should not have happened in Broward County, Miami-Dade County, when those windows, those high rises blew out. Hopefully the codes have improved enough to take that into account next time. But and then the loss of life after hurricanes. A lot of people, this was particularly true in 2004, people up on the roof of their house making repairs would fall off the roof or fall off the ladder, and there are actually several people injured and killed from that. So you need to be real careful, not just during the hurricane, but afterwards too.
Very, very important. And you mentioned the key word of mitigation, and here we are in the Disaster Survival House. There's various ways to mitigate, because it does look like, right, we have some work ahead of us yet.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And Florida is, in my opinion, leading the way. The nation prepares for, responds to, and recovers from hurricane. We need to get these improved building codes up and down the coastline, and that's not really happening yet.
Mm-hmm. And we can't stress enough about being prepared, having a plan.
And after every hurricane in the United States, I would really try to do a disaster survey, get up in a helicopter and see the damage for myself, and then get down on the ground and talk to people that were directly impacted by the hurricane. And let me tell you, Eric, I've heard over and over people tell me that the folks who had a hurricane plan did much better than those who did not have a plan. There's so much stress that goes on when there's a hurricane threat, and that stress can at least be partially alleviated if you have a plan and know exactly what you're going to do when a hurricane does come.
Mm-hmm. So here we are in September. We're still in a hurricane season. We're in the world of preparedness, as you know, there's those cancers of apathy and complacency. And if there's some folks saying, we haven't been affected much, we only had Ernesto last year, maybe I don't have to worry about it.
And actually, if you look at the statistics, Florida has more major hurricanes in October than it does in August. So the peak of the season, we like to say, goes from the middle of August to the middle of the end of October, and then the official end of the total season, November 30th. We've still got a long way to go.
When it comes to the forecasting end of things, and you have a forecast cone and track and intensity, things are getting better, but still looking for more improvement there.
There's no doubt that there's a success story there. The observations are better than ever from the satellite, from the aircraft, the land-based radars. The computers are faster. There are very sophisticated computer models out there now. The track forecasting is improving year by year. There's no doubt about that. Where the National Hurricane Center really needs the help is with intensity forecasting. A great example, Hurricane Wilma. in 2005 down in the Caribbean, went from a tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane within about 24 hours. That's never happened before that we know of. One of the greatest fears that I always had was having people go to bed at night preparing for, let's say, a Category 1 hurricane, and then waking up to a Wilma or Katrina or an Andrews.
Absolutely. You were director of the National Hurricane Center for many years. Looking back, any memories that kind of come to the forefront looking back to that tenure?
Well, sure, and some good and some not so good, but you know, like we said, there are lessons we learn from every hurricane, and I think that when people ask me if there's one message I could get out there, that's easy. That message has not changed. We want every individual, every family, every business, and every community to have a hurricane plan and have it in place before the hurricane season gets here. I always like to say that the battle against the hurricane is won outside the hurricane season. You can't afford to wait for that hurricane to come knocking on your door before you get prepared.
And enjoying your days now after the Hurricane Center?
Well, I'm not using the term retired. I'm working with TV, with the ABC affiliate in Miami. I'm also working as a preparedness spokesperson for Florida Power and Light. And I'm working on something called America's Emergency Network, which will eventually be a national disaster network, and it's all operational.
Would you like to mention a few brief words about that venture?
Well, this is really something I think that the country is ready for, and especially now that I'm on the media side of the house, I know that we can do a better job. And the whole concept here is to get the official government messages from the local and state emergency managers into a central database. That's really going to be my part of this program. And then let the private sector take it and run with it. There will be a satellite TV component to it, a satellite internet component, and then the fallback radio. We want everybody to have access to that information unfiltered by the media. The TV stations and the newspapers can't possibly put a reporter in every emergency operations center. You know, not them put them in the county EOCs, but they can't possibly put them in, like, use the example, Miami-Dade County, the city of Miami, Miami Beach, Hialeah, Doral. All these municipalities are getting out really detailed information to their citizens, and right now most of that is falling on the floor. They just can't be everywhere. The reporters can speak to what's going on where they are, but we really want to do a better job, and this will be you know, available to not just the public but to the media, the shelter locations. I think this is an idea whose time has come.
And if folks want to get to know more about that?
Well, it's called America's Emergency Network, and I think that within just a couple of weeks here that they'll be able to just Google that on the internet, and it will start becoming operational.
And again, Max was here with a big partnership and new displays with FPL here in the Disaster Survival House. We say thank you to FPL and that partnership. Say thank you to Max for coming out and helping us with that. And as we saw, we had students and the kids, and here Max was walking around the house with us and talking to the kids. And what's that experience like?
Actually, this was really good. I really enjoyed this today, Eric. Thanks for inviting me here. The kids, these kids have been through Francis and Jean and Wilma, and when I would ask them questions about you know, what to put in your supply kit, your hurricane supply kit, they didn't hesitate. They gave some very, very good answers here, and I'm hoping they'll go home and ask their moms and dads, you know, do we have a hurricane plan? You know, what's our plan? What are we going to do? And this was a very enthusiastic group today.
It certainly was. Well, again, we can't thank you enough for your support. Max has been a supporter, an advocate for hurricane warning here at the Disaster Survival House, and we certainly look forward to continue to work together with a strong partnership, working together as a team. So Max, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good morning. I'm really glad to be here. I always like talking to school children. I think that you all understand about hurricanes as much as anybody, and hopefully after today you all will go home and ask your moms and dads, you know, what's your hurricane plan? Are you going to be ready for this next year?